Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is... what is it?
It's Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday!
Sweet.
Decide. Okay.
Wow. Love Warlock Wednesday in this household.
All right. This particular Warlock Wednesday, we will be discussing the Eldritch Invocation, Rebuke of the Talisman.
The number one reason you start with Pact of the Talisman is Rebuke the Talisman. This is...
Oh, you didn't do a little thing.
Oh, sorry, Talisman. Then Rebuke. There we go. They have
No, bad Talisman. No biscuit for you. Huh?
Okay, sure.
Ah.
I wouldn't really call that out. It doesn't matter. This requires the Pact of the Talisman feature, and the Pact of the Talisman feature was added in either Xanathar's or Tasha's, and it's a new pact, but there's only 4 as opposed to 3. Now, well, there's now 4 instead of 3, and it gives you the ability to, your proficiency bonus per long rest, you add a d4 to a failed ability check, and that might make it a success. It's nifty, but not, like, revolutionary. It's kind of like getting guidance, and you could get that by taking Pact of the Tome. So it's not robust or exciting in any particular meaningful way, unless you plan on taking some invocations, such as Rebuke of the Talisman, which requires the Pact of the Talisman feature. When the wearer of your talisman, so you can give it to somebody else and they get the d4. You can wear it yourself, you get the d4. Whoever wears it gets their buffs. When the wearer of the talisman is hit by an attacker you can see within 30 feet of you, so not 30 feet of them, 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to deal psychic damage to the attacker equal to your proficiency bonus and push them up to 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. So if something goes and, like, I give you my talisman, Bob, and you get beaten up over the head by the chef whose pastries you stole, I can rebuke that chef and nug them for 2 points of psychic damage and shove them 10 feet away from you.
I needed tiny tarts.
Yeah, you were stealing tiny tarts for what spell is that again?
Hideous laughter.
Hideous laughter. Thank you. What's your initial impression of Rebuke the Talisman?
I think it's fun. I do not like the range there. I mean, I'm picturing, I want to take this. I want the barbarian to wear my talisman so he can go out and get hit a bunch, and it'll be useful. But which means I want to stay back and be ranged, but I have to be within 30 feet of the attacker.
You do with is hit by an attacker, you can see within 30 feet of it. Yes, so you would be within 30 feet of the attacker.
That's not ideal.
This is, I think, the chief problem with Talisman is... there's a couple problems with Talisman, but this is one of the larger ones. This feature reads like it wants the Talisman to stay on you and wants you to take damage and reflect it. Or it wants you to be close enough to things that you can reflect it whenever an ally melee character takes damage. And that puts it in this really weird spot because the Warlock builds, if you want to make extra attacks, you need Pact of the Blade. Like, it's mandatory to get Thirsting Blade. You can't take Thirsting Blade if you have Talisman, which means you're not really aiming to be a multi-attack character, which makes all of the frontline stuff really finicky and difficult to make come together, and your goal is to take the hits yourself. Like, it's hard to be a character that's objective is to take hits and be a full caster as far as, like, your spell repertoire goes. As a backline Eldritch Blaster or something, as a character that is planning on going the full spell suite, like you just said, being within 30 feet of the attacker isn't really where you want to be, and Pact of the Talisman's little rebuff damage is not so compelling that I want it over the utility that familiars or extra cantrips provide, which leaves me in this weird spot, like, who is this really for? The effect is interesting, but I don't know what Warlock builds can actually take advantage of this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking more of I'm a sucker for push effects. I like shoving people around the battlefield, and this does that. All right, and one thing else going in its favor is that there's no limit.
Yes, that's right? If this had a limit, it'd be unusable. Being an at-will reaction on its own is genuinely really valuable.
Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of people hitting the barbarian. They're all getting knocked 10 feet back and taking a minuscule amount of extra damage. But that adds up, I guess.
Yeah, if this will often be 2 or 3 damage every other round, and for a no prerequisite invocation, that's entirely fine. You really want to get value out of the push, though, which is, I think, where it probably finds its own best, right? On characters that can value that push somehow.
Yep, and I'm seeing this. You take this and repelling blast. That's
Sure, be the ultimate pushing warlock.
to what end? I don't know. I just want to push.
So, like, if we look at the warlock spell list, their first and second level options aren't without agnostic of subclass, without any subclasses support. They don't have good area of effect damage effects like they can just set down. So they don't have, they have Cloud of Daggers, so you could conceivably like try and set something up where you put a Cloud of Daggers on something, then it runs 10 feet of the barbarian, then you push it back into the Cloud of Daggers as a reaction. That could be cute. Cloud of Daggers also upcasts for decent damage on upscale, so it goes 2d4 extra, which is better than a d6, which is the normal upscale or upcast thing, so it's kind of fine as a warlock spell slot. And like the third, fourth, fifth level stuff, we've got not much. Like I'm looking through the lists as we speak, and I'm seeing very little that you would want to set up as area damage. So you really need to get it from your subclass. But if you can do that, maybe this goes on the character that like sets up the damage and then use repelling blast and this to keep things going back into that damage.
I'm thinking more about this being part of a team effort where your friends are setting up
area a pipe dream then. Something that will literally never occur.
I bet there are tables that work together well. I haven't been in one.
Yeah, I think those tables exist and are very few.
That's unfortunate because this is how the game should be played.
Yeah, I kind of agree. So I think like Pact of the Fiend gets Wall of Fire, and that seems like a really easy, if you want to play the Wall of Fire character, maybe that's the direction you go. Like it's also Pact of the Fiend is sort of the full spellcaster, but you still get some amount, like they have a really good spell list. They also get like a temp HP boon thing. So maybe that is the range of your close-ish range, but still doing full caster stuff, and it gives you some damage area control stuff. It gets stuff like Fire Shield. You're still working with like 3 pack slots total, so your warlocks struggle with the full caster department if you aren't leaning heavily on Eldritch Blast, but if you can get a spell up twice and you can find ways to reuse that spell, like Wall of Fire and the pushes, maybe that's it. And then you don't have to use your friends. You don't have to be reliant on someone upsetting a spike growth. And if someone does set up a spike growth, you're really happy though. So that's nice.
Yeah. See, I'm just trying to think how far does repelling blast shove?
I think it is 10 feet.
All right, so this plus that would give you a total of 20 feet from the provided their melee attacker away from the guy that was getting attacked, which wouldn't eat up a movement.
The other big consideration, right, is it happens on the creature that's attacking's turn. So if it has movement remaining, it can immediately make up that difference because it doesn't knock them prone or anything.
Yeah. It well, all right, here's something. It could keep them from, let's see, say you're starting 30 feet. Yeah, it could keep them from getting to you, so they would have to go back and yeah, you take yourself out of the options that it has to attack next time.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm struggling.
Sure. Here. Yeah. This is a little feature that I think is really interesting. But just looking at how both you and I are struggling to like bring this together as a build around option, especially if the packed boon did more on its own, I think we'd have a pretty different conversation here where it's like, this is a cool little utility piece that you stack on top of an already good feature. Tome and Chain are already good features that makes all of their supplemental stuff a lot better because you want to be in there anyway. Right. You don't really want to be on Talisman anyway. And I don't know if Repelling Blast is the most compelling reason to go that direction. So it ultimately is kind of like it's probably a fine invocation. And if it were on Blade, I'd be a lot more interested. If it were on Chain, I'd be a lot more interested because then you could mix it with already good things and not a glorified guidance. And like guidance is fine, but I don't want it to be my pact boon. I want it to be one of the cantrips I get in my other pact boon.
Yeah. I don't know.
Of course, it's not the best. It's middle of the road, I think.
If you're working together with your party and this is part of that plan, I think you can have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Get a lot of use out of it.
I think especially if we're looking like at low tiers and you got the druid with spike growth and you got the wizard that just got wall of fire as their 3rd level spell instead of fireball for sorry, it's 4th level. Never mind. That never is gonna happen. So I need to pick a different example that does area effect damage. I don't know. Someone else has another area effect damage spell up, but cheaper than that. I think you can probably make a cohesive unit of, the meat grinder. Someone sets down a spike growth, the barbarian runs directly at them, they go to hit the barbarian, you knock them back into it, and then on your turn you knock them 10 feet again. And then you got a little like pew, 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 pew. Seems fun. Doesn't seem that practical, but it seems fun. That's 2 invocations for that. For a build that doesn't involve you
don't have to. This doesn't have to involve repelling blast. This could work alone.
Would you take repelling blast if you're building to that? Are you taking this or are you taking repelling blast first?
Well, if I'm only taking one, then I'm probably not going to be a talisman. I'm not taking that back to talisman. So yeah, repelling blast.
Yeah. And then you can also have agonizing blast, and then your damage is great.
Yeah.
Yep. I like these words. The damage is fine. It's definitely I think is about as relevant as the push is, in that both can do interesting things and you can stack them up over time. And they can add up to some cool moments. At will reactions are good. This one is just on a bad boon without a lot of build direction and constrained by the other elements of Warlock. If I could put this on a melee character to make an extra attack, I'd be a lot more interested in it. But I can't. I have to put this on an ally to get the use out of it because I don't want to be taking damage if I'm not if I'm not engaging in martial combat. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this, like, in a vacuum, it probably deserves a 3, but it's not in a vacuum and it's on a bad boon, so I'm gonna give it a 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little more generous because I want to like it despite everything we talked about.
It just says that word push, and that's all you need to upgrade my score by 1.
That's true. But yeah, the thing that really bothers me is the range. I'm encouraged to put this on a different character, but I'm like, I can't get that much juice out of that. So that keeps me from being more excited about it. But yeah, I'll give it a begrudging 3. Yeah.
I'd love to hear your take on Talisman, on Rebuke of the Talisman. If you've got builds that make it at least interesting, if you've got ways like combining with other invocations that can set you up to have the consistent area of control damage kind of character without having the huge detriment of being a pact caster, so like without needing to lean into your pack slots exclusively, I'd love to see what that looks like, because I'm not able to envision it functioning that well right now.
Yeah, maybe there's something you can do, like you wear it yourself and you really juice up the armor of Agathis, and I don't know.
And then you push things away from you when they hit you, and then they're not hitting you as much, conceivably, which is and the antithesis of what armor wants to do. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing because it's defensive still.
Yeah.
And then your action just looks like hit me.
Come at me, bro. I don't know. Rebuke of the Talisman. There you go. Bad Talisman. All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe and all that. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.